Hi, and welcome to Real Talk with Gen Z with myself, Ken Rabow, the mentor's mentor for young adults, coming from kenrabow.com. Today, you're going to meet Aiden, and we're going to be talking about how to be an effective parent for a troubled young adult. What doesn't work, how to change the trajectory from lying to communication, how to help create accountability in an intrinsic way, and all of this with this awesome mentee named Aiden. I want to start with a few tips for you, and then we'll get into our discussion. Today I'm going to give you some tips on how to be an effective parent for a troubled young adult. Troubled young adult is a funny term, right? Because what one person thinks is troubled, another does not, and vice versa. What we want to look at are what's working in their lives and what doesn't work. And how do we change the trajectory from, let's say, lying to communication? To get to that, we have to understand that very often young adults are in a spiral. They're doing the same things over and over again. Maybe they have a video game addiction or a pot addiction, or they're scrolling. What do they call it? Death scrolling, doom scrolling, constantly. And they have it near their bed, so they're not getting to sleep. Well, telling them that they have to tell the truth and be responsible because you've made out a list of what they should do, and they go, yeah, totally, I'm going to do that, mom/dad, or both, ain't going to work. And so, for us to understand and transform from lying to communication, we have to understand that just forcing limits will not make the changes that we want. We first have to get them to talk about what's going on. So, Timmy or Tammy, what exactly is going on that you're staying up till 3 at the night or 4 in the night? What are you doing in the last couple of hours? Well, I don't know, not much. There's an answer you're going to get. Are you on your phone? Yeah, I'm on my phone. What do you tend to do? Oh, I'm looking at a whole bunch of TikToks. I have some really, really good people I follow on TikTok that talk all about non-Euclidean geometry. Really? I'm making it up right now, as you can imagine, but you get the idea. Okay, Timmy or Tammy, how about you download a few things that you'd like to look at before you go to sleep and start having an end time? There's a whole bunch of different pieces you're going to have to do. You're going to have to figure out how do you get reminders for Timmy or Tammy to remember, because usually their calendar are not set up on their desktop and their handheld, and that has to help. They have to learn to not just swipe away reminders. They have to get rid of the useless reminders. And then to create the accountability, one of the things I do is I ask them, what happens if you don't get this done? Oh, I'm going to fail the thing. My parents are going to yell at me. I'm going to have all sorts of trouble. Okay. What happens if you set up reminders and forget them? Oh, then I'll end up in the same place and they'll yell at me. Okay. What if we start having reminders that you feel comfortable with? Maybe you're one of those people that needs to write it and put it on a sticky note on your computer or at your bathroom door. And so we help them find a way. What happens if that doesn't work? Well, then you let me know next time we have a daily routine and we find out what works and what doesn't. And I'll say, Timmy/Tammy, oh, this worked fantastically. Why? Oh, I stuck it on my mirror, and every time I go to shave, I see it, and I go, oh man, I got to do that homework piece that on non-Euclidean geometry. It's homework too, holy mackerel. And this is what I do with all my mentees. And right now, you're going to get a chance to hear Aiden and I talking exactly about the situation, how it worked, and how it resolved. Enjoy. I'll see you on the other side. If you have questions, please put them in the comments. And if you feel that we should be mentoring young adults, if you believe in mentoring young adults, you could clap, but I'd rather you gave us a thumbs up. Thank you very much for listening. More to come. There's a whole bunch of these sessions I'll be sharing with you. So here we are. This is how to be an effective parent to a troubled young adult with the amazing Aiden.
Hello, Ken.
Hey there. Were you a troubled young adult, Aiden?
I was a troubled young adult.
Aha. How were you troubled?
I was a liar to my parents, to
Wow.
my sister,
Wow.
and I lied about engaging in bad behaviors across the board. And it took a while to get out of that sort of rut, if you will.
Yeah, that must have been hard on them, but also on you.
Yeah, for sure. It obviously didn't feel good to lie. And it, once everything got set straight, I felt like a weight was lifted off my
I
shoulders.
bet. And it's funny because I don't know you in that way at all. You are one of my most truthful mentees.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, what did your parents do that didn't work? I mean, all this stuff's going on. I'm guessing part of the reason you're lying is you don't want to have to deal with what you're doing and let them know what you're doing, and you don't know how to fix what you're doing. Would that be about right?
Yes, I think that I was getting punished. And if I did something wrong, it was just, all right, you're grounded. You can't, something like that. You can't go out to this prom, something like that.
Right.
And that's why I was lying because I didn't want to be punished.
Right. Makes sense.
But it wasn't anything more than that. It was just, you're punished. It wasn't getting to the bottom of the situation or talking.
Right. Which leads us to how did our mentoring change your trajectory?
I think that our mentoring changed the trajectory by enforcing accountability, you know, and not getting punished if I messed up, which obviously happens,
Right.
but more of, all right, let's do this by this time. And, if you don't do it, I'm not gonna, ground you. But, if you don't do it, then there's gonna be these repercussions that it's not a punishment, but it's gonna affect you in some way.
Right. So to understand the what your actions would create, but you and I, there were no judgments. There was nothing that stopped you. If you wish, the whole idea of mentoring is whatever you bring to me, and whenever we mess up, which we will, you learn from it. And it's like, how do we learn? How do we start again? How do we use this to do things differently? And so, there's in the book, How to Influence and Influence People, they talk about this. I think Hans Selye is the one, if I'm remembering correctly, who said that, animals, which all you guys are, no, I'm kidding,
Mhm.
sometimes, do so much better when they are rewarded in a positive way versus punishment,
For sure.
right? And so the whole idea of what we did was we worked as a team and we helped you really put together what these things were, and you've done fantastically. With all that in mind, there's a parent listening right now and they're thinking, but punishment stops the problem. With what you've learned, what would you say to a parent and how to mentor their children with this type of issue? How to be an effective parent to a troubled young adult?
Well, first of all, going back to what you said a few seconds ago, yes, the punishment will keep them in their room for a week and they won't be engaging in the bad behaviors. But will that put a bow on these bad behaviors? It won't.
Right.
And, I was that kid sitting in the room grounded too. And that moment the time's up, you're back to doing it and back to lying and avoiding punishment. So, what I would say to a parent to effectively mentor their child would be to really speak with them and dive into the behavior. And yeah, this can be daunting, but asking them, why are you doing this? What repercussions, like going over the consequences of their actions, and not in a way of I'm going to ground you if you do this, but this is unsafe. This will affect you in the future, et cetera, et cetera.
I'm going to add one little piece. If you really think about it, I actually got you to figure out the repercussions. I never told you what they were. I would actually say, well, if this happens and that happens, what will be the outcome? And I let you do it. It sounds the same, but I
Mhm.
actually almost never told you what I thought the repercussions were. Once in a while I would, but most of the times I guided you to figuring it out.
For sure.
And right, and the reason that helped you was you were owning all the pieces. And to me, if you parents out there listening or young adults listening want to, for your parents to hear this, that is the piece that was very powerful was I let you be in charge of us. And so even with the repercussions, you helped us figure out what would happen and how to put it. And then I just sort of helped with guiding you towards making that work. Thank you very much. This was really fun and I learned a lot. I appreciated it.
Yeah, of course. Thank you, Ken.
My pleasure. Take care.
Take care.